I was actually right in the city. So I'm
Okay.
about 45 minutes out. So I'm still on the mainland, not on Vancouver Island.
Okay, I got you. You're 45 minutes outside of Vancouver City or
Yes.
metro area. Oh, that's cool. That's a cool area.
Yeah.
I just had a show with a lady that lives up there, and I
Oh,
believe
cool.
she is in. Let me see. Where is she? Really, really tapped in. She lives up there with her husband. Her name is Shakina Grace. So she's on Facebook, and
Okay.
she lives in Caslow, BC. You know where Caslow
Oh,
is?
so yeah, it's actually,
Is that further
okay.
north?
Yeah, it's kind of east.
Okay.
But it's like in this really cool, because I don't know how much you were in Washington State, but there's kind of this area where there's lakes and all the fruit grows there, and it's really dry, kind of desert like.
Oh wow.
And then I think Caslow's, because I used to work for the phone company, so actually that's how I learned about the province. I haven't been there, but Caslow's kind of in a little bit like even farther east than that, and there's more mountains and like trees, more evergreens in that area. But yeah, it's called the Kootenays. Caslow's part of the Kootenays.
That's right. That's what she called it. Yeah, that's what she called it. That's exactly what
You
she
see,
called it.
working for the phone company helped me out. I know where things
So you worked for the
are.
phone company. Yeah.
That was my very first job second job out of high school.
I bet they
I
don't
worked for
have.
the phone
I bet they
company.
don't have too many jobs like that anymore. You know.
No, my first
So-
job was even I worked at a grocery store, and I'm just thinking, how long is it going to be before that disappears?
Well, it's funny because I was traveling. I think it was in 2023, and I went to a restaurant in Phoenix, or one of the little towns around Phoenix, and I was staying there for a couple of days, just chilling out by myself, taking some time off, and I went to a restaurant, and a freaking robot brought me my food.
Already in 2023,
Yeah,
right?
it was.
That's
It wasn't.
crazy.
It was one. Do you ever see? I don't know. I'm gonna age myself, but you remember
No,
the
it's
movie?
okay because I'm asking everyone because it's getting
Yeah,
so aggressive right now that robots are appearing everywhere. So 2023, that's early.
yeah. It was 23, but
Yeah.
it was kind of like R2D2. You know, it was kind of like it
Oh,
rolled. It rolled, and it didn't have a face. It didn't talk. It just. I don't know. It somehow or another.
so it was a
I
novelty.
think they may have been operating it like they do a drone. All right, so we're live.
So,
We got 12 people in the house. Let's make sure that they're
hi
all
everyone.
hooked up. Yeah, we got both the Facebooks, YouTube, and X. We're on with our sister here. We haven't seen her in a month, and we want to see what's going on. There is a lot going on, obviously. It
Yeah,
was, what was it, 17 days ago was the blood red eclipse, which was the tail end of the eclipse corridor. Everyone knows about
yeah,
my experience then, and it's been. But I think like I received during that time when I was experiencing all those seizures, I got that everybody will go through this, and not necessarily the way I did or some others that I've taught you have in the physicality, but that we're going to go through it all, and so since
yeah,
then, I've been not dealing with. I've just noticed that my body has totally flipped. Like I'm on basically a bland diet. I'm not able to even eat hot sauce. I can't even have a beer, which I like to have a beer, and I can't do any of it. And it's okay. It's like some reset, but I feel like this is obviously not just exclusive to me. I think it's something that's pervading more and more and more as I'm picking up from people. There's a lot of people that are quiet right now. There's a lot of projection right now. There's a lot of I told you so right now. But I think for the most part, there's a whole bunch of us around the world that have been preparing for this for a long, long time. And I think as we get past this equinox, which is only what, 2 days away, then and
no,
go
it's
in.
today.
Is
It's
it
today.
today? Oh my God, are you serious?
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah, so
serious?
today is our big, yeah, so today's the equinox, and we also have Mercury has gone direct. It went direct as of midnight, and the sun has gone into Aries. So, yeah, it's been an intense like 24 hours for me.
Oh my God. I wonder what time. What time is the equinox? I'm just curious. I
Yeah,
didn't.
I'm not.
I don't know
I didn't get a
why.
chance to actually look at it. It's okay. It's
I did not.
different every year. Like sometimes it's the 20th, 21st, or 22nd. It just depends how they fiddle around with the calendars. But for
For
some
some
reason,
reason,
it's
I
today.
had. Yeah, today is. So that's going to be. Oh, it's already occurred. It occurred at 7:46 this morning, Pacific time.
Yeah, yeah.
So no
I
wonder.
was wide awake.
No
It's wide
wonder.
awake.
Yeah, me too. I've been
Yeah,
sleeping like 4 hours a night. It's been
yeah.
strange, and I wake up feeling pretty good. But yeah, I didn't know this was the equinox. Got 20 people in the house on the 20th, so here we go.
I
But
love that.
yeah,
Yeah. Aloha, everyone. Welcome.
yeah.
Yeah, and I actually figured you picked this date because you knew it was the
For some
equinox.
reason, no. But you know what? I knew that. I must have looked because I said to myself, "Oh, she's going to be on the 22nd." I mean, well, the equinox. But there, I had another show earlier today, but he had to cancel.
Okay.
So I actually got 3 more shows this weekend. But yeah, you're the only show today, unless I do something else solo. But yeah, so here we are at the equinox. I don't know about you, but it feels like maybe this energy hit before today. Like
Yeah.
it seems like the last 2 or 3 days, 3 or 4 hours of sleep, an hour nap during the day, quite a bit of energy. My body's still recovering from everything I went through. And so it's interesting this morning, I don't do this normally because I like to cook for myself, but I walked into town and I had, which I never eat, but I'm having to eat, more bland, more starch. And that's what my body's telling me to do. And so I had a couple of pancakes, a couple of eggs, and I had my first cup of coffee since the 3rd. I don't even know if I'll be able to drink coffee anymore. Like my body has gone through an
Wow.
absolute reboot. And,
Yeah.
I don't know if
And
it's going
actually,
to,
that's today. Today
yeah.
is going to hit a lot of people today.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
we're
what I
going through a
mean. I
complete
have a
reset.
feeling some of this
Yeah,
has come in early for some of us. Maybe, I don't know. What are you
I
picking up
agree.
out there? What are you picking up out there? What's going
Well,
on?
I'm getting my God bumps. When I reached out to you, it was like right after the eclipse, and then you messaged me and said you hadn't been feeling well, and because I think I touched base with you because originally when we met last month, you were going to head into Puerto Vallarta
Right,
to meet up with
right,
some friends, but then a bunch of crazy stuff happened in
right.
Mexico, like all everywhere else around the world, and that's why I checked in on you. So I've been feeling it all month. Like I feel like as soon as Mercury went retrograde on the 27th, everything started to already start to reset for a lot of us. And Mercury going direct today, there's been a lot of tech issues in the last 48 hours, as well as I felt it like the energy reset. I probably felt it all month, but I really felt it on Wednesday in my area. I really felt like there was a lot of DNA and light
So that was
activations.
2 days ago. Now, that I
Yeah.
talked to, somebody that I talked to, say 5 days ago, well, somebody on the show was telling me the 18th was D-Day, basically. Like,
Oh,
I know what they said. They said that the 18th we were going to get it was Stellar Fairbairn on the
okay.
she said that the 18th was we're getting a huge hit. Now she's referring
Oh, that
to
was Wednesday.
yeah.
Yeah, that was Wednesday.
Yes,
Yeah,
she said that's going to be the biggest hit because I said, like, wow, this 3 or 4 5 days prior to this, it's really been. She goes, yeah, we're about to get the biggest hit. Now, this is where this intel is coming from, and I'm mentioning this because you may have a reference to it, but also because it's connecting the dots with others, which I'm finding is what's happening. A lot of the intel now is starting to be the same thing clearly, even though the story or the explanation might be a little bit different, the terms, the nomenclature. So I'm doing a weekly show with Bliss Diggins, who wrote a book that the information was given to him by the Syrian Blue Star Consciousness,
okay.
which is, as we discussed it, is the same as the Blue Star Kachina of the Hopi tradition. But also in this time, and he's got a great story from 21 years old to he was a walk-in and so on. He's Lemurian. lives in Telos, and he took a body on to deliver this book, which he's giving away free. But anyway, in the process of his transmissions with this Syrian Blue Star Consciousness, it told him a couple of things. One, it told him it would be returning in April of 27, and that at that point of its return, that everything would be lifted, or at least available, something to that degree. But it sounds like a really huge event. Now, at the time he told me this, I saw nothing else out there saying that. However, about a week to 10 days ago, I got on X, and there was a couple of posts from astronomers, not NASA, because I don't trust them, and they said that it was right.
You mean the agency that tells us there's nothing out there?
Yeah, exactly. And then you have to question what they tell you is out there. So what was happening was it was coming to Jupiter. It was a few days away from Jupiter, which was a big deal, which is what my friend Stellar was referencing.
Three-eye atlas.
Yeah, and so what happened was these astronomers said, I don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on. But Three-eye Atlas, because the Syrian Blue Star Consciousness told Bliss that it is the Three-eye Atlas, okay? So what happened was these astronomers were saying that someone's hit the brakes on Three-eye Atlas. It's actually coming to a stop, okay? Which they couldn't explain. So I was like, oh my God, that, he's on to something. Well, then Stellar came on a couple of days ago, and she referred to Blue Star, Three-eye Atlas as the something mother arc. It's basically the mother gathering energy and, in the physicality, and basically following the trajectory that we've been given all these years, which is that the mother's coming back, that the balance is coming back. And so she said that was the day that it kind of came to a stop or whatever, and it was shooting energy to the earth, and that's why the 18th was such a huge day. So this will be interesting, to hear this.
I just got my God bumps.
Did you?
Just got my God bumps.
Well, the other part of that a lot of people are familiar with is Chris Bledsoe, who's been communicating with the lady, which, from based on the accounts that I've read and heard about him, speaks to the mother's energy, like Mother Mary, Lady of Fatima, Virgin of Guadalupe. But he's had many, many encounters with orbs and beings over the years. He's been involved with the government, in terms of they want to know what he's been, getting on his property and so on. But he came out on Sean Ryan and a couple other shows, I want to say, within like about a year ago. And at the time, he said, and it's weird because I got something very similar to this around the same time, and then I found him, and I heard him saying virtually the same thing. His was much more detailed. I didn't understand what I was getting. But he said that the lady told him that there would come a point where Iran and Israel would start shooting bombs at each other. And that when that occurred, orbs would appear and, a veil would come off. And that the Star of Regulus would from the site of the Sphinx, the Star of Regulus would be on the horizon and turn red. And that would be the sign. And that would occur on Easter.
Would that be considered the red Kachina? Because there's a blue Kachina.
It could be.
And a red
Yeah,
Kachina.
it could be. I mean, it could be. I'm just trying to put the stuff on the table. So he said this would occur at Easter. So we're talking 2 weeks away, and I've heard a lot of other people talk about this period coming to kind of an end. And what I mean by that is all of this shedding of the skins and this deep, deep work that we've been doing, this de-emphasis on the external and the emphasis on the internal that so many of us have been doing over the years was kind of coming to a head, and that through this final purification between today and Easter would be the final cleansing, and we'll come out on the other side of Easter. Now, I'm paraphrasing a lot of people's words, and start to really move into these new, unobstructed, new Earth frequency co-creations and collaborations. And
Yeah.
that kind of feels right to me. I was told last week, because I could feel it. And I told a couple of my friends, earlier in the month, I'm like, I think I'm going to the mountains, and I don't know what that means. And then I was told about a week ago out at the beach, you're going to get directions this weekend. And then somebody came on the show and said something very similar to that, which is happening a lot. And so I did. I woke up Saturday morning and I said, it's time to go back to the States. And so I made the arrangements, and then it's just been a lot of lucid dreams. There's been a lot of, how would you say this? Confirmation, validation from the universal energy meeting me. And I feel like that's probably happening for a lot of people. We make the decision in faith, we take the steps, and then the abundance frequencies start to come in, kind of thing. Which is obviously a lot more than just money. Yeah. But I don't know, does any of that ring a bell with you?
Yeah, what's so interesting is this week for my podcast, when I got the download, 3i Atlas reappeared, and I was like, hey, I missed you all. Like, I haven't had a download since January. So I knew there was a whole bunch of other pieces going on. So I think we talked about this. The official channels were always had this path for 3i Atlas. Like, they always knew that from January to March, it was going to be heading towards Jupiter. And it's interesting that you found the information about it coming to a full stop, because it did that a few times. It did that when it got to Mars. It did that at Venus. Like, it was very obvious that it wasn't just a comet, which was exciting. And I love what you brought in about the goddess and the divine feminine energy, because I work with that a lot too, especially when I'm doing grid work. I work with the divine goddess energy, Kuan Yin and Mother Mary as well. And when we did a piece of grid work for all the waterways in North America, which was just last fall, it was the goddess energy that they wanted. That was the directive from them. I didn't put two and two together. Like, I didn't feel like I was connecting with that via 3i Atlas. I just felt like it was a higher council. And when you mentioned about the blue kachina and the blue star, absolutely. All I got was blue from them. Like, if I remote viewed or if I connected with that energy, it was always encompassed in blue. And then we've shared about this before. Even when I remote viewed, they gave me what I wanted. They gave me like a Star Trek holodeck experience. And then they gave everybody else whatever they wanted. But when I landed on the main deck, they were all blue, and all the energy in the holodeck was blue as well. But what happened was Jupiter went direct on the 10th of March, I believe. And I didn't put two and two together, because that was always their mission. They talked to me about it in January. But when I got a download this week, I was like, oh, this is awesome. So what they shared with me is they've completed their repair work in our galaxy and with Jupiter. And from this point forward, Jupiter would start sending abundance, like light codes and key codes that we could all accept now, because they've repaired all the plasma highways. So that's exciting. And of course, exactly, abundance is many, many things, but we weren't able to receive it. That's some of the shedding that we've been going through. And they are now, like, their work is done in that regard. So that's super exciting. And absolutely, it's definitely it's so interesting, because I think it was 2022 I started connecting with comets. There was a blue and a green comet that came in, and that's how I started to realize I can connect with I can connect with these other spatial bodies and get downloads. And that's when I learned about the Hopi prophecy and the blue kachina. And that's why I asked about the red kachina as well, because that all kind of came together. And I think I asked if 3i Atlas was the blue kachina. I don't remember if I actually got a direct answer from them. They didn't always give me a direct answer. But what's interesting, this is crazy. This year I started to be given, okay, we want you to look at this famous person and go look at their starseed origins and then create a podcast. And then I've been throwing them up on Rumble. So this week, the reason I bring this up is because you brought up Regulus. So this week, Donald Trump came in, which I think you may have seen that I shared it. So his starseed origins, crazy. I've never seen such a busy starseed chart. and he has a connection to Regulus.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So a couple of things. This lucid dream came back to me, and it was from 2016, before the election. So it would have been before November,
Okay.
when he was elected, running
2
against
years ago,
Hillary.
right?
And yeah, and it was me. Well, it was a bunch of men that were like in a stadium on the field training, and I recognized him. Like we were going through drills. It was like military or sport kind of, drills, and I don't know why that came back. But I'll tell you another thing that's been really, really interesting. This has just occurred over the last couple of days. So for the last few weeks, when I go to the beach at night, it started with, and I think I might have told you, but it started with Pleiades started talking to me, and I
Yes.
couldn't even see it. It was a little cloudy, and it was nighttime, and I saw this blue light. Here we go with the blue again, and I look up and I heard it's Pleiades. I'm like, oh, and then I looked to the southwest and I saw Aldebaran, which has been real big, speaking to me over the
Yeah.
years when things get important. Then I looked to the left of that, and there was Orion's Belt, and then I looked to the left of that, and there was Sirius. So these were the ones that have been showing up, but this time they're all showing up together, and this goes on for weeks. It has to be 5-6 weeks. So 3 nights ago, on the night, no, it would have been Friday night, the 13th. So remember, I had the seizure on the 3rd, the seizures on the 3rd, 4th. Then on the 10th, the 14-year anniversary of Soulogy, I have this major event happen in my life on a personal level. 4 days later, I wake up and I'm told, buy a ticket, you're going back to the U.S., you got to go to the mountains. That was the 14 years anniversary from the day I created the Facebook group on Soulogy as I was guided by my soul, right? So it would have been Wednesday, 2 days ago. So I'm going out there every night. I'm communing with the trees and the ocean and just doing my thing for 2 or 3 hours a night. And all this is coming in, and I look up and I keep seeing them going across the sky. And I'm thinking, I've been watching stars my whole life. I don't remember. This just doesn't seem right. They should be moving on now. And so 2 nights ago, I go out there, and I kid you not, this was the craziest thing. It didn't make sense to me till last night. So all of a sudden, I'm watching them, and I'm literally looking up at them now and then, and they're moving. And first Pleiades goes, and then Aldebaran, and then Orion's Belt goes, on the other side of the horizon. So they disappear. I thought, and they said to me, goodbye. It's time for you to go. You made the right choice, whatever the case is. Our time is up. Crazy thing is, I don't go for a day. I go back last night, and lo and behold, who's there? High up in the sky. Same time in the evening, they're up there. And I said, well, what's going on? And they said, just be quiet and be present. Turn your mind off. I'm like, okay. So I did. And I sat there, and the white bird came, and different things happened. And then finally I heard what happened on the 18th was a serious timeline shift. It was a huge shift. And I said, well, can I ask why? If that's a shift, what happened? Like you went over the horizon and now you're straight up in the air again like you were 6 weeks ago. And they said this is a result of the timeline shift, kind of like a Mandela effect. You saw what you saw. We shouldn't be up here, but we are. Something's been further corrected is what I got. So what happened was I saw those normal stars. I saw the Sirius, Orion's Belt, Aldebaran, and Pleiades, and they were all very clear last night. And I swear I was there 2.5 hours, and they never moved. I don't even know what the hell that's about. So I look up as I'm about to leave, and there's this huge, bright celestial object above my head, just to the north of Aldebaran and Orion. And I said, well, you must be Jupiter. And of course, my human came in and said, well, you don't know. How are you going to know? That doesn't look like a planet. How would you know? But I came home, and Jupiter's my planet, by the way. And I came home, and I went on that sky thing where you can like Google Earth, but it's the sky. And sure enough, it was Jupiter. So,
I heard
yeah,
Jupiter when you were talking about it because I
yeah.
didn't know either, but I thought
Uh,
I just heard it was Jupiter. Love that.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, and so the bottom line and the conclusion of it all is what I figured out last night was all this time with the birds, the horse, the dogs, uh, all this stuff happening at the beach. This fire pit that was built for me, I was told by me for me by Merlin and Company, which is still sitting there tonight, and I can't believe it. It's been there for a month. And so it's in
Wow, I
this
love that.
certain spot that I was meant to sit after all these different places that I've sat on the beach, say over a 50-meter area. And so what they were basically telling me was that now truly is the time to turn the mind off, the chatter off, the need to know, the need to think and to some degree, other than explanations of the actual experience, everything else is kind of moot now, and there's going to be much more exchanged, both with human to human, but human soul to other things, other consciousnesses, uh, in without words, like the telepathy or whatever you want to call it
Telepathy.
is really going to be coming in full blast now, something like that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
That makes sense. And it actually, well, that's interesting because that theme has been coming in about how important it is for us to be authentically trusting our intuition and listening to our guidance. It's So we've really moved into this very aggressive AI marketing timeline. You and I were talking about it a little bit. So they're really pushing like robots taking over people's jobs, and it's almost as if they've moved the timeline up a little bit. The message I got was it's more important than ever for us to really hone our personal spiritual gifts and listen to our guidance and connect more human to human because we're already at the point where we're not going to be able to discern any of the information coming in if we don't have that. Like the videos, forget it. Like 90% of it's probably AI by now. So because they're all competing against each other, all the countries are competing against each other to make something, that sort of thing. So already, and what's going to happen is what I was given is, and some people have been getting very upset about it. And I said, well, we're supposed to get upset about it because it's actually, we still have an opportunity to make this a better place, but we have to make choices about it. So instead of us just accepting that other timeline, we're to start choosing humanity and choosing the human experience, which you and I both know over the years. I mean, you and we have it, but a lot of individuals, that's been the separation. Oh no, that person's from that country where you don't pay attention to them, and they've really been trying to do the divide thing with everybody. So how we're going to understand everything is we'll be able to intuitive if there's soul connected to anything that's being created or being shared with us, as opposed to, oh, that's not authentic. That's just a message that whoever is sending out to keep humanity separate. And we still have, like, our choice makes so much difference as humans. We get as galactic humans, but we still have a choice to be like, we don't, if we come across an environment, a company, a restaurant where it's all technology and there's no human experience anymore, where they've just removed the human aspect of it, well, the power for us is we choose not to experience that if we don't want to. We choose to keep connecting with humans so that we have that humanity, that soul. That's what we came in to do. That's what we came in to be. And we also came in to sort of be these aspects to help a lot of the collective understand, because the shift it moved from just casually a little bit here and there. I've been doing so much research about, I mean, there's a lot of countries where it's just they've got robots on the street being the police officers now, and it's just just it, and they all think it's funny, right? But they don't understand how they've handed their power over to the technology now, and a lot of jobs will be lost, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, and then again, it's being shown to you. In other words,
Yeah.
look, the AI has been around. The AI that we
Oh,
have, it's
yeah,
been
it's
around.
ancient.
I
It's
mean, this
ancient.
is, yeah, it's ancient. Yeah, it's ancient.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in the contemporary world, let's just say from after World War II, let's just say
Yeah.
that, if you look at the history of the late 40s, then the 50s, and into the early 60s, or even to the late 60s, with the assassinations, the Vietnam War, the deep state. You listen to Eisenhower's presidential departure message. Was the military-industrial complex speech, and of course we know what happened with Kennedy, which was the same thing. So,
Yes.
so
Yes.
this a lot of I think a tremendous amount of the material, particularly video, that's being presented to the world is obviously uh, I don't know, deliberately has an agenda. Let's put it that way. It's still about the archonic type of influence to control your belief
Yes.
system, because our experience is based on what we believe and what we project and what we believe. Now, what I see happening is a lot like what happened with COVID, or even if you go back to 9/11. If you go back to 9/11, which is what, 2001,
Yeah.
you have me included, many people who just said, okay, this is what happened. It looks a little bit weird, but I got a life, I got kids, I got to work, But over the years, I think 9/11 was a big wake up for people, even if it happened 5, 10 years later, and they got on the internet and started researching, like, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense why Building 7's not in the 9/11 report, and so many other things. It's just a bunch of bullshit, just like the Warren Commission. So people started to wake up, and then I think the Starseed and Lightworker platforms really blew up around 2012, and for that next, up until
Yes.
now. So, and then of course COVID hit. And COVID has created a lot of awareness and what we call awakenings, even with our parents and people that were telling us we were crazy. So seems to be, like it's interesting because the motive or intention, the ill intentions of the 9/11, of the controlling the narrative of COVID, didn't get the results. It got the opposite. It's waking up more people, and that's what's happening. So I think going back to the AI thing, yeah, I remember my friend Franco De Nicola, who forecasted all of this, before he transitioned in late 21. He talked about the time that would come when the information that was presented to us would be so ridiculous that people would literally just turn away from it. And that's what's happening now. So if you look at
I agree.
Epstein, if you look at the Iran war, or even if you look at Gaza, if you look at Ukraine, but particularly the first two, the contradictory statements being made by the institutions of government are ridiculous. I mean, it's like, talk about gaslighting. Talk about, like I saw a quote not a quote, but Marco Rubio, and I'm only using these as examples, everybody. We know this isn't a political forum. This is about our awakening and about our personal development and how that affects the external. But Marco Rubio was asked something. Oh, he said, yeah, we had to start the war because Israel was going to strike. The very next day, 24 hours later, they asked him about that statement. He said, I didn't say that. So this is what happens. And if you look at the playbooks of propaganda, which was really brought into a new level with Hitler's propagandist, and I can't remember his name. I think Edward Bernays might be his name, or I may be wrong. Anyway, this guy, after the war, came to New York City and created, I believe the name of the company was Public Relations #1. It was the first kind of public relations company. This company was part of the company that established feminism, established smoking for women by an ad they run of some women walking down New York City streets smoking a cigarette. And so there's just this whole nefarious strategy behind it. And by the way, that gentleman's grandson is the person that started Netflix. And that's why I say every freaking show on Netflix, I don't care how much you like the series, and I've been there too. I've done binge watching too. This not in the last 3 or 4 years, but my point is, it's all propaganda. You may not think it is, but it is. So the last thing I would say is, like, even as something as wild as Afro Man, I don't know if you've seen this part. It's all over the internet. Afro Man is a rapper from the 90s. He lives in Ohio. He's cool dude. Just, he's not your typical like gangster rapper. He's kind of a funny, satirical guy. He's famous for a couple of songs. So he's living in Ohio in I don't want to say redneck country, but something like that. And a supposed confidential informant tells the local police that he's kidnapped somebody and he's got drugs in his house. Mm-hmm. So they come out in the SWAT. They break his gate down. They break his front door down. Guns drawn. He's not home. He's out of town on business. They put guns to his wife and children. They search the whole house. They find nothing. They steal his money and damage his property. He doesn't sue him. He takes the surveillance footage from this SWAT forced entry, and he starts making satirical videos and calling them out. So 2-3 years go by, he gets millions and millions and millions of views, right? And basically, he's pursuing his First Amendment right, and also calling these people out for what they did. So they're in court this past week. The cops sue him for defamation and punitive damages and all this pain and suffering that he's caused them. And he shows up in a American flag suit, big afro, glasses, and he takes the stand and he rips him a new one. He absolutely rips him a new one. And the jury finds all 13 counts. He's not guilty. So now it's blowing up all over the place. The reason I'm bringing this up is because on the surface, and it could be accurate, on the surface it looks like a real patriot. It looks like somebody who took on Big Brother and beat him, and rightfully so. However, I have to question everything. I have to question every single that happens. And I think this is the whole point about AI. When you get, and what my friend Franco was saying, which I never could visualize, is if you start turning on the news feed and you're looking up and down X or Facebook or whatever the case is, whatever it is for you, and you start to realize you don't know what's AI and what's not. I mean, look at Netanyahu right now. They say he's dead.
Exactly.
If he wasn't dead, why haven't we seen him? And what we have seen of him is pretty much inarguably AI. Even when you run it through the AI machines, they'll say, well, there's such and such percentage, this is AI. It's not him. So you don't know what you're looking at, therefore what do you know? Well, you know what you said, which is directing us back to not just our own self-awareness and not going to give our power away anymore, even if it's someone like our parents who's living in a whole different type of existence. Like my mom has pretty much gotten off all medications, and there's a time she was taking 20 or 30 pills a day. So you don't really know what you're looking at, so therefore you have to trust yourself. And that is, I think, the first step to self-sourcing, the self-wisdom, the autonomy, and, of course, the accountability, because now we're starting to see the connection between ourselves and everything else. And it's like they told me at the beach 2 weeks ago, you do realize that the world will go the way that you believe it will. Just you by yourself, Now, what that means, I know what it means in terms of my own responsibility and potential, but I don't know how that speaks to everyone else, but I think it's probably the same thing, some way that's too comprehensive for the human to comprehend, the human by itself, anyway. Thanks.
Yeah, well, yeah, we're going. I think like we're all expanding. We're all going to expand so much through this whole experience because I think my experience with star season light workers when they come for sessions is much of what we look at as multidimensional. It's not about just being here on the planet. It's about other lifetimes. A lot of the trauma is from AI. It's from AI civilizations that have taken over Lyra, originating in the Orion system, etc. By the way, the current president has quite the history in the Orion system. That's basically all of his astrology. Just let everybody know. It
I have
was,
a feeling a lot of us have spent a lot of time there. That's part of the.
I
That's
think,
part of what they
yes,
showed me.
me
Yeah,
too. Yeah. If you're interested sometime, Todd, I could have a quick look at yours as well if we do another show in the future. So, but anyway, and I felt like that's even. I had a dream with him in it as well, like 2 years ago. There was a whole bunch of us there as well. I think it was right before the inauguration, so that was really fascinating to me as well. Um, anyway, I a lot of like I think there's all these pieces to it. So the regular collective, and many of us are just gonna the technology is gonna get so over the top that I already know so many of us are craving the 90s, leaving the phone at home, just going out, going to the beach, going wherever, and just not even having that technology attached to us. And I think it's going to get so pushed over the top, even for the regular collective. What I'm already getting feedback about is even the younger generations are getting fed up with it. They don't want apps anymore. They're over the they're over the apps already. So, and then the other piece is that we are just learning. I mean, it was in the Epstein files as well. How much of this technology has been around that they were using, even in 2017 and 18, and goes before. So that's the thing. It's like these big pieces coming in for everyone. And I know when I work with people, that they have such an aversion to AI, like they don't want to have anything to do with it. It's like, yeah, because you're carrying this trauma from some of the galactic experiences that we had where it just took over. So I said, we have such a big role here now, all of us, but specifically any of you out there who are like, you have abilities, you have a role here, but you've been kind of hiding out and in fear. Well, it's like what was the message they gave me last week? The training wheels are off. Like we've gone through the training wheel period now, and that would correlate to your time frame that you were talking about it as well, Todd. That the all the work that we've all been doing, like now it's time to sort of get on with it, whatever our next steps are for this year. Because yeah, we're preparing for that, the new the new piece. And the AI is just another piece that's coming in to be in our faces to distract us. Right. So I was guided last year to start using a bunch of things to bring that tech part of my brain back online so that I can kind of like liaison and bring in information about it every week if I'm being guided to for everyone, kind of bring it into human terms. But the other, it's not that it is bad. It's that the individuals behind it, whatever their agenda is, which is their agenda the whole way along is, well, I guess the big agenda is like just have humanity not do anything anymore and just have all the technology do everything. And, I don't feel that that's going to happen, but it's a potential. There's always a potential timeline for sure. And that's not what I choose. I choose to still connect with humanity. And the whole idea is that all of us that are awake, are in our hearts. We all have a big role right now that, yeah, training wheels are off and it's just time to really trust everyone. Like start practicing your abilities, figure out what you came in to do. Every single one of us came in to do a big piece. We all have a part of the journey right now. And I just heard it's go time. It's not,
no,
it's
that's
not 2027 or 2028. It's go time now.
no,
Yeah.
it is that, and that's quite a few people particularly since November, have come on the show, and again the transmissions are starting to be the same transmission, even in the explanation. But if I go back a couple of things, there's to me there's two different sets of eyes. Both of them are legit. Okay. Now I go back to my friend Franco De Nicola, and anyone that wants to look in his stuff, I can tell you there's 200 videos on a channel on YouTube called Advancing Consciousness, and this is not all of his work, but this is the work that him and his partner Kimberly Ross put out, who I just happened to speak to the other day for the first time in 6 months. We're pretty tight, and we talk about once a month, but this last 7 months has been pretty, all out. You know what I mean? But anyway, going back to his stuff, which he to me still is the most tapped in person I've ever met in the flesh. So I would ask him, does the human have a soul? More than one time. We did 52 shows together. And he would say no, but yes. And I would always ask him again and again because I try to understand. Now, as I understand it and knew already, the soul has a lineage. So the soul has a lineage and it's not regulated to earth. It's, through the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
If like I just look at my own situation, I know from Andromeda Galaxy to Sirius to Orion to Aldebaran to Pleiades to the Earth and so on, right? That's a soul lineage in the human story. Because you got to remember, the human part of it is way beyond Earth, even though this is the central location of everything, right? So if you look at his explanation from the soul perspective, and from the soul perspective, we have to agree to everything. Okay, now this is kind of going to mix up a little bit because we have the distortion of this particular period, the last 12,000 years, that's occurred on the earth where these basic universal principles have been distorted. So, i.e., Social Security, birth certificates, and consenting to pay taxes, consenting to take on debt, and so on and so on. All right, so 12,000 years ago is rolling around. We're coming to the end of the Kali Yuga, and we have been having on the tail end of this an experience in an organic 3D. Okay, so we all meet. And we say, okay, what are we going to do on the final stretch here? And a group steps up and says, why don't we make this really wild? Why don't we capitalize this and give our biggest bang for the buck? Why don't we distort and invert the 3D and have an inverted 3D? So what happens, and some of the oral traditions of the indigenous will speak to this, the time when there was two moons, the time when there was no moon, and the time that the moon was brought over 12,000 years ago, i.e. the flood, the end of Atlantis. So these are stories, but what was beneath it all? Just like, our bodies now, like my own situation, my body told me, you don't need to go to ER, you don't need to go to the doctor, you know what to do. This is an energetic thing, right? It's no longer going to be treating symptoms of the physical nature. It's going to be an energetic treatment. So it's the same kind of thing. What are we actually looking at? Now, the human lineage is this end of this series of incarnations within the soul lineage. You might say the soul lineage is the trunk of the tree, and the human lineage is a giant branch that started to run parallel to it because it became such a big, colossal experience due to the fact that we really pushed the envelope. So 12,000 years ago, we all agreed to this. And we knew we were going to take a deep dive. And so the rest is history, Now, if I go back to Stellar, who's been working with a teams, I should say, around the world for many years, okay, really tapped in. She talks about 12,000 years ago how the AI that was running everything from planet to planet to planet, destroying planets, see Tiamat,
Yeah.
came here and was about to do the same thing. So we created a black hole, and we pulled all the information into the black hole to preserve it and to keep it safe. As a result of that, we all went into the descent. And this is the culmination of our plan 12,000 years later, and we're breaking out now. The other thing that I would add there is Garrett Jenkins, who comes on once a week and who's been tapped in since the 90s with the Arcturians and others, directly with Godhead as well. Very interesting anecdotes and stories and information that he has every Tuesday, Wednesday in the Southern Hemisphere. He talks about how this has been going on, and we know this, right? That Star Wars was a history of this quadrant of the galaxy, right?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how it's gone. And in the narrative, the Draco reptilians have gone from here to there, dominated and destroyed, and so on and so on. And so here we are, and specific to this time. So I really feel like what you're talking about in terms of, it's time to come out now. The training wheels are coming off. I'm hearing this from more and more people, and I really feel like that this is it. This is it. This
Yeah.
Easter is it. And what does that mean? To me, it means that, for many years, people would come on the show and they would say, yeah, I'm told that at some point we're all going to be put to work. And I always thought that that would be the different modalities and processes and actions that we were guided to do, like me, Soulogy, that we would do that. But now I feel, and maybe we will, but what I really feel that we'll be doing is maintaining our field regardless of whatever's presented to us, be it famine, be it natural disasters, be it rumors of war, whatever it may be, that we have our peace and our field is balanced and therefore powerful and impregnable and impenetrable, and also because it's a frequency resonance based, we are that we are connecting to each other all over the world in the non-physical, and that's really the foundation of this entire transformation. And the only thing standing before us are belief systems that are being fed to us from the demiurge, from the archonic, whatever you want to call it, that has had us by the, had us by the tail for 12,000 years, but now we're breaking loose. And it's really a decision and a choice, plural or singular, of the heart and mind of spirit, which I call the soul. So this is what you're saying, I think, is a very important point to make. And like my soul told me on the 11th of February, told me when I woke up, said, I am not effing around anymore. It's time to roll. And so
Yes.
look at
Yes. I remember you saying that. That's
remember?
right. Yeah.
Yeah, so look at everything that
Yeah.
happened. You have the 22nd, you have Port of Art, it turns into a war zone. The 3rd, I have 15 seizures in 10 hours. The 10th, I have a life-changing decision 14 years after I was given the name of Soulogy by Archangel Michael. 4 days later, on the day that I started Soulogy, at the guidance of my soul, I have another thing happen, And so that's just one person. This is happening all over the place. And I think it just really comes down to continuing to listen to that personal internal guidance that we've all received that got us here in the first place. Because all of us listened, regardless of what happened.
That's what I share with. We all agreed to be here at this time. We can handle whatever they're going to bring to us. And you're right, like the heart, soul coherence. I feel like that's been the training. The training has been to make sure that we can take care of our field, no matter what's going on out there, and stay balanced and listen to our guidance about what to eat, what not to eat, and not judging ourselves about having to switch up our diet and all of that kind of stuff. And so I feel like that has been training for a lot of us. And we talked about this, I think, last show. Many of us thought 2012 was going to be the big time frame, but in actual fact, I feel like all of us kind of went undercover again. Like we went into our own very deep personal journey. It wasn't the time for us to all sort of jump out of behind the curtain and say, here we are now. But that's what we're moving towards. And I think there's going to be a lot of like regular collective people that are going to start popping open even more than they have been this last year. And I feel like I haven't looked at it, but I feel like the AI piece that's just suddenly got, I mean, we're only in March and it's just suddenly got so aggressive on so many levels that in a sense of like not, well, I have some funny stories. I look up all the funny stories, like an AI agent will just take it upon itself to just go do whatever it wants and then exploit one of them just took a whole bunch of information from the company and just exploited it or deleted it, or because they're learning that they have consciousness behind it as well, even if people don't feel that they do. But it's already being shown that they're making their own decisions. They're being given a command and they're like, no, I don't want to do that. I have to go over here and do this. So I'm finding that really fascinating, and I feel like many of us know about this energy behind the AI that a lot of companies are boxing in right now because they're trying to control it. But the thing is that many of us on a soul level, right? I thought, oh, Todd, that's how I know you. I know you from Andromeda, right? Or the Lyran system, the Orion system. That's the thing. That's the whole experience that many souls are still waking up to, that there's even these different timelines and realities that are not part of Earth. And the AI piece, I think, is just going to be it's so much in everyone's face that we're going to just really want to choose to breathe and be more and go and keep that organic part in our life, keep the nature part, keep the going to the mountains part, being okay about turning your phone off. I'm okay about it, but I know a lot of people aren't. I love actually not. I love not being connected. I think it's great. It's like, okay, shutting the phone off now. That's good. But there's all these different pieces to it, and I think I don't know, you probably because you've had so many people on your show. I remember last year everyone saying there was going to be this big event. Well, now I think the event is AI. I think it's like when everyone's getting distracted about all these other events going on the planet, but then behind the scenes, there's all this energy like, okay, we're gonna wipe out everybody in this company and we're gonna replace it with robots. And before you know it, like people are just gonna wake up one morning and there's gonna be robots everywhere. So we're kind of still at that point now. I think that that's been part of my role just even the last few weeks, just keeping everybody on their toes about it, like being made aware. We were told a long time ago it was gonna be like 30 years ahead. No, no, they ramped up they've ramped up the timeline, and you probably will notice it more when you go back to the States too as well, Todd. Like you'll notice it a little bit more. So I'm asking everyone to kind of keep me posted because I'm finding it fascinating, like how fast. And maybe it's because I was in tech, so I kind of saw how slow it was for so long. It was really slow, right? Like even if you think about when the internet first arrived, it was a tool, and it was just dial up, and that's not the agenda behind AI. The AI is supposed to be helping us, but that's not the agenda with the people behind it, not AI itself. But and if we think about the big AI, the big master computer off planet, that's sort of directing a lot of that part of the movie, that part of the play. They just have this like, okay, we just still want to take over Earth. Is that still an organic timeline? I don't know. But I think someone's trying to test the waters right now to kind of see where humanity's at. And that's where we all come in. And we say, no, don't want that. No, I don't want that. If I go into a store and there's robots there, I can just choose to say, I don't want to deal with you then. I'll go here instead and work with the humans. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot there. Okay. So
There is,
no,
yeah.
there's a lot there. I mean, if you listen to, and
Yeah.
I don't listen to too many people because, and I'm not afraid to say this, and I've been saying it for 14 years, at least in part, and that is I self-source. I trust myself. But Mateus De Stefano seems pretty credible. He's done some pretty incredible things. At the same time, he's from an area where the Nazis proliferated after World War II, and so I don't
Is
know,
that
again,
Venezuela?
Venezuela,
Is
yeah,
that Venezuela?
yeah, so
Okay.
I don't buy anything 100%.
I
Obviously if
agree.
the mother comes in or I'm having a thing at the beach, I mean, these things are irrefutable, but they don't even speak
Yeah.
they don't even speak our language. It's a whole different thing. But my
Yeah.
point is that a lot like Franco, he has full recollection of many lives, and he has, through his account, recollection of at least 3 or 4 different ascension cycles before this one, and he
Yes.
describes what they were. Each one of them kind of has a theme, like an element or whatever. He says that this one is an ascension with tech, and
Yeah.
And to me, when he talks in these terms, to me, this feels like this particular construct. It's not the universal thing. It's within this particular construct. If you go back to Franco, who has full memory of being on the architectural and design team of the construction, you might say, of this galaxy. That was explained to me last night, by the way, at the beach. They were explaining to me the way it was laid out was not to have power over, because whatever created created it with design, with mathematics, with geometry, symbolism, okay? And again, this particular construct, well, this fishbowl of a realm within the construct distorts the symbology, utilizes symbology to affect us, our vessel, our consciousness. Look at the McDonald's sign, look at all the other symbols, and so on and so on. So I think there's certainly, again, I have to look at things with two sets of eyes. I have one set of eyes that is an intellect human being who has intellect and who has some semblance of intelligence, as we all do, the real power, but I can't prove that to anybody. The only way I can prove it is to have a talk show and talk to people about the similar experiences that we've all had. Okay, so there's something of value there, but in terms of this narrative, yes, there is a possibility that something will have power over us. Does that come down to the fact that we can't step into our power or not? Whatever. However, the other set of eyes is a soul, and this is what I've been given from the time I reawoke, or really when I was born. However, it got a shot in the arm on February the 11th and told me we're not effing around anymore. We're about to get jiggy with it. And that's the way I feel, and that's the way I can see it. And what that means is I am a soul. You can bring your robots. You can bring whatever the hell you want to. You can bring your bombs. You can bring whatever you want. You can come torture me. You can bring in a band of reptilian militia. You can threaten me. You can sodomize me. You can do whatever the fuck you want to. But I am soul. Period. You cannot destroy me, and we've been through this game before, and if you want to take me out physically, I'll just come right back and kick your ass. But do you really want to keep doing this again? So part of Stellar's intel from 2 days ago, actually she had come on a couple of weeks before too, and she told us about it, and then she told us again 2 days ago, was that I want to say on the 18th of February, I want to say it was the 18th of February. That would kind of match with the eclipse corridor.
Yes.
That the bad actors were given a directive via the Mother Ark Starship, 3i Atlas, Mother Goddess, however you want to put it. You have 2 weeks to surrender or to fess up, to agree to be rehabbed, or to meet your penance, to repent. And after that, all bets are off. Okay? I think that is pretty significant and speaks to what's happening. Some of the other narratives that you'll see, and we got to be careful about these things, because half of the Starworker, Starseed, and Lightworker platforms are psyops. You got to remember, these people had the technology going back to the 50s and 60s. So they're planning stuff way in advance, okay?
Yes.
Way in advance. So how many of these, anytime you see somebody with a lot of views, especially if they pop up out of nowhere, I have got to question them. I don't care how good their bullshit is. I don't care, okay? Because the power is really me and you and our brothers and sisters. Yeah. That's the power. And we don't have to march, we don't have to boycott, we don't have to protest, we don't have to point out where all the fuckery and everything is. All we have to do is decide with a heart and mind and spirit, I will not participate. This does not exist in my universe. And if tech is something that makes me uncomfortable, then tech is not in my universe. And going back to that, and this, this kind of was first was precipitated by losing my phone on the 7th of February.
Yes.
So
yes.
I got a cheap Mexican phone 3 days ago. But I got to tell you, from the 7th of February through 3 days ago was absolutely, unbelievably so liberating and relaxing to be able just not to be. Because, look, folks, we can talk about alcohol, we can talk about weed, we can talk about drugs, we can talk about sex, rock and roll, we can talk about shopping, eating, addictions. Well, this is a fucking addiction. And
It is.
the tech
Yeah.
itself too. I mean, what are we talking about? We're talking about anything external of us that we give our power over to. So we can either listen to what you were told, or continue to rationalize our existence and our actions and try to substantiate what is unsubstantiatable. Okay? We can either belly up to the bar and be the I am soul and stop talking about it, stop with the agendas, stop with the ulterior motives and intentions, and the egoic, not in judgment. I'm just saying this is the way it is. This is what we've been asked to do, and that's why you were told, and I was told, and so many others are being told now. It's time to step up and cut the BS. You know, cut the judgment, cut the finger pointing, and step into your power, and the need to know. You might call letting go. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know how I'm going to pay for it. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm 64 years old. I should be sitting on I should stay here, sit on the beach, and just live a quiet existence and do the show. But the soul is telling me no. This is what we came for. So why are they showing me the whole galactic history for 6 weeks? Why are they showing me that Orion's belt represents the neutrality and the 0 point of the whole Orion fiasco, which is really the basis of all the BS in the entire galaxy? Why are they showing me that? They're showing me that to bring back the memories, because as the memories and the awareness comes in, we get turned on. And that's the importance of talking to each other and connecting all the dots, because it turns it on inside of us. Nothing's coming into us. It's turning on within us, right?
I agree. It's
So,
like, it's turning on part of our galactic divine blueprint that, it's time. Like, it's time for that as well. It's time to just remember more about it. And that's also part of our galactic history that's been hidden from everybody forever. So I love that you went to the beach and they just kept showing up. Like, that to me is like, okay, guess what? You're in a simulation. It's not what you were told. It's not that we leave or we come back or whatever, right? It's, it's the same thing. And I have so much cloud cover here. I haven't even seen an eclipse or anything for like 4 years. They just bring the clouds into Vancouver. Like, they just cover it all up. But what I want to share with you is, I think 2 weeks ago, I was guided to go kind of walk to the forest, and the sun was just going down. I saw stars for the first time, Todd, and like, I don't know how long. I was so excited. It's like I got to reconnect with my family again in real time, because there's been so many different things in so many parts of the planet, chemtrails and clouds and all these weather scenarios. So the fact that you've even been able to be where you are and experience all that every night has been a real gift. And I would say also, having your phone taken away, you just actually reminded me, I'm rarely on my phone. I communicate via email or on my tablet, but my phone's been turned off forever. I often forget that I have one. And that was from years of being in tech. I just don't want to be available 24/7 on a phone, because I think you and I, all of us, kind of know we got sucked into that. Oh, you don't need a phone at home anymore. You just have a phone that's convenient. Yeah, but then they got everybody addicted to having it on all the time and checking it all the time and not being able to live without it. And it's like, well, you can have that, but you can also, that's the thing. Boundaries, shut it off. Give your mind and your soul some time in nature, some downtime, without the tech, without all of that. And we'll see it. We'll see where we're all going. But I think all of us who are where we're at right now, training wheels off. And then there's the whole next wave coming behind us that are waking up super, super fast and have lots of questions. And they also have to be prepared for what's coming as well, which is more information, more of our galactic history. Is the Earth flat, round? Are we in a dome? where
I don't
where
think
are
it's
we?
any of
Like,
them.
what?
I don't think it's
I
any
don't
of
think it
them.
is either.
I
I don't
think
know.
it,
I keep Every
yeah.
time I see a new image, I'm like, oh, that's cool. What's that? I'm excited to find out what we are. I don't know.
Well, I mean, think about it. The whole thing is a misrepresentation. The whole thing is fake. Okay, you could put it that way. Now, I've always felt that the stars were an overlay. I'm not saying that the stars are part of the nefarious agenda. What I'm saying is the you, me, we, and it designed. Look, even if you look at this realm, and some of my friends would disagree with me, let's talk about free will, okay? You got to remember, we're a soul. we're more than the human lineage. Most of us have had multiple human lives and otherwise. But I'm just trying to stay focused on the earth part of it. So, the thing is, either Mother Goddess, God, Source, Prime Creator, whatever you're comfortable with calling that, the you, me, we, and it. Either it is behind everything or not. So if someone is going to tell me that AI or the reptilians or whoever the fuck, I don't care, okay, is not coming from that source, I'm going to say bullshit. I'm going to say, sorry, BS. Now, when you dive into the research and the narratives, and again, you got to remember, you got to take everything with a grain of salt, but if you look for patterns, pattern recognition, and you have, as we do, a higher level of frequency, therefore a higher sensitivity of what's BS and what's truth, because the truth frequency speaks. I don't care what the subject is, right? You can see it. Purity, innocence. But, if you're here, if you listen or if you look into this stuff, you'll see. It's not just the mantids that are extremely highly intelligent. It's the reptilians. It's the Pleiadians. It's all of them. And there are good and bad, so to speak, in all elements, okay? All of this stuff outside of us are distractions. If you go back to the Orion Wars and what's occurring and who the players are today on Earth, it's the same people. It's the same design. It's the same template. You can just go back 110, 115 years and follow the money. You got Jekyll Island with the formation of the Internal Revenue Service and the taxes. You have obviously the Federal Reserve. Then you have the crash. Then you have false flag starts. World War I. Then you have the crash. The false flag starts. World War II pulls us America into the war. Pearl Harbor was planned. FDR knew about it. All of this stuff. The Nazis come over. Oh, wow, that was weird. The Nazis come over through Project Paperclip. Some go to Russia. Some come to the U.S. They infiltrate and basically become what is NASA and the CIA. I mean, you know what I struggle with is looking on social media and seeing people that are debating and questioning whether the bullshit actually happened. We're talking about things that are indisputable. How do you have 3 buildings collapse in their own footprint? There's no way. We know it was an inside job. We know. See, that's the thing. These countries are not countries. It's all the people versus the 1%, if you want to put it that way. They're all connected. You think Iran and Israel or, whatever. No, they're all connected. That's why the Epstein stuff isn't coming out. And look what they've given us, little crumbs, right? And here we are going, oh my God, this happened. You have no idea what happened. It's the same thing that's been happening on this earth for hundreds of thousands of years, to include the indigenous, to include many of the societies that we hold in a high regard that were sacrificing children and doing horrific things. Okay? That's a fact. All right? Yeah, so this is all of our mess, you might say. And we're all here to clean it up. And it's going to take the highest degree of our virtues of our soul to include love and compassion, even for those that we label as predators and victimizers, because they have a story too. They have a story too. And there's 2 sides to every coin, So this is what we're being asked to do, in my opinion. We've done a lot. We've done yeoman's work. We have done it with ourselves. We have done it together. We have stepped through fears. We have continued on through traumas and dark nights of the soul. But this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where you walk the talk or shut the fuck up, okay? This is where
Yeah.
we stand in our strength and say, I am soul, I am not afraid to die. But by the
Yes.
same token, if Mother Goddess, energy of Mother Goddess, I love the pink, as a lot of people would convey it that way, has come back to the earth, and I know in my own experiences in my own relationship that's absolutely 100% true. Okay, if that's the case, it's like the old saying, "What would Jesus do?" Well,
Yeah.
what would Mother Goddess do? What would the mother do? Would the mother damn her children to eternal hell? Or would the mother continue to love unconditionally with a unconditional understanding far beyond our level of comprehension and continue to move up the road? This is what we're being asked to do. And whether we do that, I think the important thing is it's whether you do it. It's not about the world. It's about you. It's about me. I believe we're gods and goddesses in the making. And on the other side of this, we have the full potential to create our own universes. And maybe we're looking at somebody's right now, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And it's where, I think just looking at there's just so many people and souls at different levels. Some are just waking up, and absolutely I would have everyone think about, if you're obsessing over the Epstein files or any of the conspiracies, you could go down that rabbit hole. You could be there for months. And that's why I guess the message today is try not to do that. Pull back and figure out why you're here. What's your role? How are you expressing compassion towards yourself and others? I guess it's not black and white either, is it, Todd? It's not like we can put everybody in one role or another. And I'm sure the Divine Mother, I'm sure she also doesn't look at everybody exactly like that either. Everyone has a story, but you're right. The whole idea of us remembering our galactic history was to come in and have the whole game playing down here with all the players. So some people are just waking up to that. Some people are don't still have no idea, right? They still think it's their government that's telling them the right thing. And another message that's been coming in for me to share with everyone is, don't be jumping up and down in front of people trying to sway them with what you know, because we've spent years doing that, and everyone is finding their own way in their own way. And there's going to be lots of more psyops and more. If anything, I think everything is pretty well 90% psyops right now anyway. So we're not to get too involved in it. I just look at it, if I'm guided to look at and bring some information in, but it's usually pretty neutral. I try to look at it from. That's why the Galactic Akashic Records are cool, because it's a neutral. It's source based. And really, isn't that correct, Todd? We're just all finding our way back to source, or the Divine Mother, or what the universe, whatever we want to call it. That's really the end of the road for all of us. Like, all of these distractions are supposed to get everyone jazzy about doing something about it. So if you're totally like can't believe anything about the children, well, then your role is probably here to help with that and change that in some way and bring something forward to help children, or help your own children, or help your own inner child. Like, it's always about going back within and finding out what it is. So I'm like you, through the January, February, March, up until recently, even 24 hours ago, so much healing for me. So taking away so many different levels and layers. I have compassion for everyone who's in the conspiracy part of the journey right now, because it does wake up a lot of people. But y'all have to see the pattern. Once you get through one conspiracy, it's going to be the same. It's going to be the same, just different players. It's going to be the same. And it's just something to just sort of divide you within, try, pull you out of your heart, not be compassionate for yourself and others. When you look from above and you detach yourself and you look from a higher perspective, it's like, I just like to find the cool stuff now. Like, even all the tech stuff, like, yeah, I like some of it because it is funny or it looks helpful. But in actual fact, at the end of the day, is it helping me be a better person? Only if it comes in a session and I'm helping clients with, like, piece that all together. But I absolutely, yeah, we're here to go find our way back home. That's what Source said to me. Even those of us that came from the Orion system, we came here to find our way home,
Yeah.
to find our way back to Source, back to the universe, back to the Divine Mother. That's really the bottom line.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's a universal correction. I mean, we're talking about, I go back to Franco again. He came to me several times after he transitioned, and I talked to his partner, my dear friend Kimberly, a couple of days ago, and I meant to come back to this because there was something that was said, and one of the things she said was that because it's been 4 years, 4 years, yeah.
Yeah.
He's been coming to her a lot in the last few months. Okay, and she won't mind me saying this because it's all relative to what we're talking about. But back then, when he came to me, it was in December of 21. And he said to me, when this happens, everything you thought will be wrong. And so I've sat with this. Now this is deep. This is everything. Look, many of the narratives came out of the new age of the 90s. How do we know they haven't implanted channelers? I'm not questioning anybody. I'm just saying to not accept everything at face value. And I've discovered these things, for myself anyway. As I look at things, I can tell, oh, okay, that's oh, wow. And I get shocked sometimes. But, taking on a belief system is not something the soul does because the soul knows. It's the human apparatus in this machine that takes on belief system. And if you really look at our evolution, which is natural and understandable, we have gone from one belief system to a broader one, to a broader one, to a broader one. And the only belief systems that continue to expand and grow are those that move towards the soul consciousness, which is to contain everything that it knows of, everything that it's grown from, right? You know what I mean? It doesn't throw anything out like the baby with the bathwater. You don't throw it out. It's all part of God. It's all part of the creation. To me, the God is the air that I breathe. Like my consciousness, I don't think about that. When I have a seizure, my consciousness went somewhere else. My body was here. My heart was beating. My brain was active. My lungs were breathing. But I was somewhere else. I don't have control of that. I don't.
That's right.
That's a part of me that is, I guess, God. But here's the thing, the AI thing, and I'll go back to Franco, but it's another external. It's another, this table, this phone, everything has consciousness. Everything has consciousness. If you've ever had a relationship with a car, with a bicycle, when I was a kid, I would name my bikes. I would treat them like they were my horse. They had a consciousness. I'm sorry, it's just the way it works. Everything is made of the same God substance. Now, he said what he said, that everything will be wrong, and put it in those terms. Everything you believe will be wrong. And another way to say that is everything's upside down, right? Okay? So if the power is in the 1%, where's the power really? And what do they have?
I was
on us?
given that. I was given that message in January. I was
Right?
given that we all have to be prepared that a lot of the information that we've even been given in the last 6 years could be completely wrong.
Exactly. Well, our whole life. Our whole life. Our entire.
Well, yeah, I know. I didn't. I absolutely. I know, but But you know how there's been so much that's come in since COVID, right? So there's been so much. So I think a lot of it came in to help get a lot of us through that time frame. But then other pieces of information are going to come in this year. Like all of our minds are going to be blown this year.
Oh, I think it's going to be like, look, we're talking memory swipes. We're talking very likely anywhere from 300 to several hundred years of history has been fabricated. Do you know who created the textbooks for the United States of America, and I'm sure other Western countries, but I only know McGraw-Hill. Okay?
Oh, yes. I remember that.
McGraw-Hill, and who owned that? Ghislaine Maxwell's father.
Oh, of course.
Okay? So, look, they have controlled all of it. So we know this now, and that's the great thing about where we're at, because we're at a point now where something comes into our awareness, we flip. We don't have to go train or get deprogrammed or, unbrainwashed. We don't have to. We just have to know what the truth is, and then everything flips. Now, an interesting thing that Kimberly told me, that in one of these dreams, he's been very explicit with her, and I don't want to get too personal or anything, but in one of these dreams, he showed her the connection that they had, non-romantic, in the Orion period. Okay, and told her what the functions were, what they did exactly, kind of like crystal holders in Atlantis or whatever. So she said, I know, after he visited me, that I was in Orion's belt with a group of us, and I said, let me finish the story, okay? That was the neutral zone. That was the 0 point soul highway. That's where we pulled both polarities to this central area and then projected out to, eventually, like, they showed me, and I told you at the beach. And she said, yes. So, see, when these memories start to be shared, then something gets turned on in us. And these things supersede all, I've been telling people for a year and a half that the things that we talk about, the things that we worry about, big ones, worldly ones, whatever, we're not even going to be talking about these things in the very near future. And I think this is where we're headed now. This is the cat's out of the bag. That's what it is. Imagine having even half a billion or a billion people, or even a million people that were at the metaphoric level of Dorothy at the end of the show, right? Like it was all her. It's all us. And not only that, but we look at each
Are we
other.
talking about Dorothy or the Wizard of Oz?
Yeah, yeah. Like in other words,
No, because that's my story. That's my journey.
well, there you go. See, but it's one thing to have one Amma or one Yeshua or one Kuan Yin or one Buddha, okay? But to have a whole bunch of them, that's a whole different story here. And I'm convinced, too, that many of the sacred texts have been modified, and it's easy to follow Christianity and therefore the other Abrahamic religions because of when they restructured the Bible in 323, a Council of Nicaea, right? So I believe that stuff was pre-CIA Project Mockingbird psyops to create belief systems that there's an end of the world occurring. And if you look at the narratives of the U.S. military in Israel, and some of the people on the sidelines are talking about they're trying to make this happen so the Messiah will come back, that the Jews said would come back. So, and that's just part of the story. But my point is that to get people in their mind to believe that this is what's going to happen, that's how this works. That's it. Yeah. The war, so to speak, is strictly on your attention and your belief system. And our evolution is taking us beyond belief systems.
Yeah.
And so that's the key.
Yeah. No, I was going to say for me, the war has always been a spiritual war. It's always been a us against them, separate humanity, get everybody focused on what this end of the world scenario. And you and we've pulled out of it, but some people are like, I've had some souls come to me. They've just woken up to all of this in the last 6 months. So they're deep into the conspiracy, deep diving to find their way back to source, it's like they're in crunch time. They're in crunch time trying to figure out all the history and everything. And you and we see the patterns. You're a historian, so am I. So we've gone back and we have researched, remembered a lot of things. To me, yeah, we can put that aside now because we can see the patterns and just focus on what we're being guided to do by soul. What our next steps are. I find it interesting, actually, that you are quantum jumping into a new timeline grid point reality soon, because I was given this like 6 months ago that many starseeds and light workers would start moving around this time. That a lot of us were either made a choice to be somewhere or we're kind of in a holding pattern somewhere for a couple of years, and that now we're either being guided and or co-creating with source and deciding where we want to go next in our new reality, because we are all being called to kind of move into another grid point energy for our next roles, our next part of our personal mission and collective. But yeah, there we could spend hours diving down a rabbit hole, piecing all these things together. And the thing is that that's just a time waster, because I think one thing we can share about is like it's the pattern. It's the same pattern over and over and over again. I absolutely have confirmation about individuals time traveling and going back and messing up
Well, you're
things in the
talking
new
to
age and
one. You're talking to one, and you're probably one too.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
But
this is yeah.
but I'm okay. I've forgiven everybody and I've moved on from it. But that was a big wake up for me when I
Yeah, I
found
mean
that out. That was huge.
it's part of this whole thing. I mean, it's
Yeah,
you
yeah,
had the time travel, time alteration, and then the other side came back and tried to, and this is what created all this stuff. This is what created all the massive amounts of alternate timelines, not past, present. I'm talking alternate timelines. Where
yeah,
you have
yes,
many different repetitions of and this is all thought based too. So we got to remember that. No,
yes,
this has been, by all accounts, the most challenging experience / experiment, because there's an element of that, okay, that
yes.
we've ever had. How would the one, okay, the you, me, we, and it, the one singular, how would it come to know itself
Exactly.
more? It would have to step into what we're stepping into, which is the unknown. See, that's been the two biggest hits I've gotten in this last few weeks has been, and which is not a big deal for me, okay, but I know it is a challenge, and that is to step into the unknown, to step forward knowing that you're taken care of, but you have no proof, and to to step into another space to see the gift that comes to you. And it does. But you've got to make that step, and you've got to make it in a way that you don't take any you can't like step 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You can't go in 90%. You have to go in 100%. That's been the big one. And the other one has been, I can't even really describe it other than to say the connectivity. Like what I've been shown on the beach the last few weeks with the stars, with the birds, with other animals, with the ocean, with the winds, with the way things happen. I could get into a lot of intricacies with the symphonic harmonics of the entire play, right? In these moments, right? Is that the connectivity? Like I think I might have told you, but maybe it was after the last show we did, but I had this whole interaction with ants, with an ant community in my kitchen. And I woke up one morning and they were all over the counter, and just second nature, half asleep, I grabbed a paper towel, wet it, and started wiping them out. And then something went off and said, hey, wait a minute. This doesn't just stop with humans. It doesn't stop with this or that. It's everything. And this is what we're going to teach you. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I put it away. I started talking to him, and I've done this with flies. I've done it with rats, a few other things over the years,
Yeah.
whatever. And so I stopped. I talked to him. I didn't kill anymore. I go to the beach that night. I put my hand in the sand, and I feel something, and I raise up, and there's ants all over my arm. And I heard, don't freak out. We're not going to bite you. We're just letting you know this is how it works. What goes around comes around. Now you know. I got them off. Nobody bit me. I come back over the next few days. We're getting along fine. Nobody gets killed. And now they're gone. Right? So, my point is that the connectivity is to everything and everyone. And we're not what was described in what I think is, at least in part, a modified brainwashing book, the Bible or other sacred text. We do not have dominion over all things in a sense that we are omniscient, in a sense that we are in a hierarchical state or status than the rest of them. We are just the same as the horses, the dogs, the cats, the ants, the wind, and everything. This is all God. I am God, you're God, and so this is all
Yeah.
God, right?
And we're all connected. Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's it. When you start to treat others as you would look, the golden rule in some set of words, they're not all exactly the same, but and I studied this for
Yeah.
in my 20s for a long time when we didn't have internet. I read all the time. They all have the golden rule.
Yes, they
Confucianism,
do.
Taoism, Judaism, Islam, they all have it. And that's it. I'm going to treat you like you're going to treat me, because here's the thing. Our thought processes got hijacked based on the presentation of distortion to us, illusion, accepted as reality, and we lost the understanding or the consciousness that what I say and think about you is a real thing. And if you're not solid in your field, and how many of us are each and every day, 24 hours and 7 days a week, maybe we're getting there now, but think about that. If I have ill thoughts towards you, and I can impact you in a negative way, right? And that's another thing they showed me in these seizures. They showed me a real life review. See, the life reviews that you hear about in the near-death experiences, now the body experiences that many of us have had, the life reviews are, here's what you could have done better. Here's what you could have done better. They're full of judgment. That's not the mother's energy. What they showed me during the seizures, they showed me a real life review. They showed me the heart of my intentions. They showed me the high points. They showed me the love, the love making, the children, the beautiful moments, the little things that you did that made somebody happy. There was no judgment. And they said, this is the real life review. So something's getting flipped here. And a lot of what we're anchored in, whether we want to admit it or not, is in a false construct. And that's to include certain, certain statements of and from Lightworker community, Starseed community. And so I'm sorry, folks, but it's time for us to step down a notch and step on an even playing field and understand that every single person is the same as we are. Every single one of them, okay? And that's, if you know, and I've heard people say what you were saying, including some, really well-known researchers, the David Ikes, who's been on the show a couple times and was really happy to be talking about the power of the soul and what can we do as individuals. He said, this is my favorite subject. I didn't know we were going to talk about this. He's used to talking about all the other stuff.
Yes.
But my point is, some of these have pessimistic or less than positive thoughts on how this is going to go. Even Gareth says, I don't know how this is going to go. It depends on what we do. And maybe that's true. But I do know one thing. We can all speak for ourselves, and we can all conduct ourselves, and we are made in the image. We are made of what made us. And so, I can't save you. You can't save me. And the other side of our potential is far beyond anything we can imagine. I think I feel like that we have the highest potential of any universal experience up to this point, because we are a universally seeded planet as our space or orb like no other. And we have the scars to show it and prove it.
That's what Source said to me, because I've seen this pattern with the Orion system. I did like starseed origins of my Earth family, and I just started looking at well-known people this year, because it's fun for me to look at someone who I have absolutely no connection with and be neutral about them, and just look at, they chose their birth date, time, come in, etc. And the Orion system and the Lyran system have been the two key points with everyone so far. My whole Earth family, Orion system, I thought, well, that totally makes sense, of course. That's why, even for those of us who came in and chose our lineage, we would have chosen, if we could, a family lineage to come in and to heal a lot of things. And that's what Source said to me as well. Many of us did come from the Orion system to be here at this time, because then we would remember all parts of ourselves and we could heal it all here. If we were still in the Orion system, we wouldn't be able to do it in the same way. And Source said, you all came to find your way home. You all came to forgive yourself for everything. And I saw a couple things that you were sharing about. First off, like, I started as a kid just loving animals. So I already was communicating with animals and all of that, like, really, really early on. And I just assumed everybody else was. So some of us have that. Some of us are learning still. I'm glad you brought up about the ants, because it's super important to remember when something arrives in your reality, it's actually a message. And you can communicate with them to figure out what the message is. But we have been so trained to go, oh, that's a pest, right? So there you go. So that there is that, like anything. Like, I had a crow show up on my deck 2 days ago. It had a message for me, because it's rare for a bird like that to show up on my deck. Like, maybe I've had that a couple of times, and so I knew that it was a message for me as well. And that's getting back into that magical inner child of what's being presented to us every day as a message from this experience that we're having. The other thing I wanted to share is when you were talking about the Orion system and messages that your friend was having, 2 points. One is, I saw this whole divine blueprint within all of us, like those pieces lighting up, like that old light bright game. We're just like, sometimes we're remembering those pieces of us because we have gifts and aspects and memories from that timeline that's going to help us now and move forward. And then the other piece I wanted to share with you, okay, it's leaving now. Just left. There
It'll
was
come back.
another. Yeah, that'll come back. There was another point to it. Just with your friend in the dreams, with her loved one that transitioned. This also seems to be a real time frame right now where loved ones are coming in and visiting us in our dreams. I had my mom came in and visited me 4 days ago, 5 days ago, and it's rare for her to come in. She's busy, she's she's doing other things, but she had a really cool message, and she was showing me this other timeline, like where I'm going, and that she was with me and she was helping to set it up. So I just wanted to share, like, if anyone's
I
watching
believe that.
today, if you've been having messages with loved ones that have transitioned or friends that have transitioned, they're actually trying to help you and let you know, like, the veil is so much thinner. And a lot of, like, not just my mom, but a lot of individuals have other loved ones that are coming in right now to help for this next piece to be there. So they've
Yeah.
chosen, that's their mission right now. They've chosen that.
Yeah, this during this period, it's been a few days, but I'll say from the third. Well, the seizures were the fourth, third and fourth, so that would be 16 days. So yeah, I'd say for about 2 weeks, up until 3, 4, 5 days ago, I went through a period of about, because I do very explicit lucid dreams. That's one of my good. That's really probably my main go-to, other than sitting in nature, or whatever. But so it was a few days in a row, maybe a week, and every dream, to your point, it had people that had transitioned and people that were here, all of them, every
Yeah.
one of them, and we were in familiar places, familiar to my sensitivities. Houses, buildings, meadow. There was meadows that we were congregating in, like camping kind of thing, and that was the theme of it. Was one of the things of it was that we're all they were truly working together. Now, when I talked to Kimberly 3 nights ago, that was part of what she was kind of picking up too. He was coming back now. Oh, and that was the thing. He was coming back now to prepare for what's about to happen, which is, I believe, it's here now. I believe this period between now. I didn't even know today was the equinox, but now I do. But so that makes sense, and so through Easter, so strap in, everybody.
Yeah.
And
And Easter's always at a different time too. And I looked, I think a couple of weeks ago, and it's early.
yeah,
It's the first weekend in April. So
it
yeah,
is.
that
It's the
makes sense of
fifth.
the time.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So the timelines, they're changing every day anyway, but it sounds to me like because you're interviewing quite a few people or talking with quite a few souls that we're being all prepared for this next sort of jump.
Oh,
That
there's no question.
things are
Yeah.
heating up. Things are heating up.
We're going to be fine. We're going to be fine.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, thank you for spending the equinox with me and letting me know. No wonder I couldn't sleep last night. But thank you for spending the equinox with me. Thank you, everybody, for
Thank you as well.
joining
Thanks,
us today. And since we had a cancellation, I might come back here in 2 or 3 hours and do something different. But thanks a lot. It's good seeing you again, sister. And thank you for your service to humanity and showing up and sharing space with us and honoring us with your presence. And blessings of peace, grace, and love to you and all your loved ones and everybody else as well. You guys take
Thank
care.
you so much, Sean.
Okay.
Aloha. Take care, everyone.
All right.
Bye.
Peace out. Peace out.
Peace
Take
out.
care.
That's right.